is The Shed. It's mainly
Welcome to Profit in Frames, your home for the financial autopsy of horror and psychological thrillers. Tonight, we're dissecting another nightmare, carving into the movie budget, the box office numbers, and the shocking profit behind the fear. Let's begin the operation.
What if the most terrifying monster you ever faced wasn't a stranger, but a demon you accidentally unleashed as a child? And what if, decades later, you had to return to the place where it all began, your childhood home, to face it one last time? This is the chilling premise at the heart of one of the most anticipated horror sequels of its time, Insidious, The Last Key. For any movie lovers out there who have followed this terrifying franchise, this film was a must-watch, a deep dive into the origins of the series' most beloved hero. Today, we're not just doing a simple movie review, we're doing a complete movie breakdown of this fan-favorite chapter. We'll explore the story, the scares, and the secrets, but we're also going to pull back the curtain and give you a full box office breakdown and production budget analysis, showing you the brilliant financial strategy that turned this ghost story into a box office goldmine. This is the full movie explained, from the secrets hidden in the further to the dollars and cents that brought it to life. Released on January 5, 2018, Insidious. The Last Key arrived as the fourth installment in a franchise that had already solidified its place in the pantheon of modern classic movies of horror. Produced by the legendary Blumhouse Productions and distributed by Universal Pictures, this film had a very specific and clever mission. While the first two movies focused on the harrowing haunting of the Lambert family, this entry, directed by Adam Robitel, took a step back in time. It serves as a direct sequel to Insidious. Chapter 3, but more importantly, it functions as a prequel to the entire saga, putting the spotlight squarely on the character that movie fans had come to adore, the powerful and compassionate parapsychologist, Dr. Elise Rainier. The director of this installment, Adam Robitel, was already a respected name within the horror community, having directed the critically acclaimed found-footage film, The Taking of Deborah Logan. His selection was a signal that the studio was committed to maintaining the series' high standard of atmospheric dread and character-driven storytelling. The true star of the show, however, is the incredible lead actor, Lin Shaye. Her performance as Elise is the anchor of the entire franchise, and in Insidious, The Last Key, she is given the chance to fully explore the character's traumatic past. This film is her story, a deeply personal journey back to the very source of her own pain and her supernatural abilities. A comprehensive movie breakdown of the franchise shows that giving Elise her own origin story was one of the smartest moves the creators could have made, transforming a supporting character into the undisputed hero of the universe. The plot summary of Insidious, The Last Key, is both a haunting ghost story and a tragic family drama. We follow Elise as she receives a disturbing phone call from a man who is now living in her childhood home in Five Keys, New Mexico. He is being tormented by a malevolent spirit, forcing Elise, along with her trusty sidekicks Specs and Tucker, to return to the house she fled from as a teenager. There, she must confront not only the demonic entity she accidentally set free years ago, but also the horrifying memories of her abusive father. The official trailer for the film masterfully teased this personal angle, promising audiences not just the jump scares they expected, but a deeper, more emotional horror story. It was a perfect piece of marketing that set the stage for one of the most successful hit movies of the winter season. For anyone looking for similar movies, the DNA of Insidious. The Last Key is deeply connected to classics like Poltergeist, and of course, its primary competitor and sibling franchise, The Conjuring universe, which also features stories of paranormal investigators confronting evil. At the time of its release, Insidious, The Last Key faced a competitive box office landscape. It was up against the lingering success of blockbuster hits like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and The Greatest Showman. However, as one of the only major horror releases of the season, it carved out a massive and highly profitable niche. This is a key part of our box office breakdown and production budget analysis. The film's strategic release date was a masterclass in counter-programming, giving horror fans exactly what they were craving. For those wondering where to watch this terrifying chapter today, Insidious. The Last Key is available across various streaming and rental platforms, making it one of the most accessible and rewatchable movies in the series. As we get into our full movie explained, you'll see how Robitel's direction and Lin Shaye's powerhouse performance came together to create a film that honored the franchise's legacy while also standing on its own as a truly terrifying and emotionally resonant horror story, cementing its status as one of the top-rated fan-favorite movies in the Blumhouse library. Now, while the scares on screen are what draw us in as movie lovers, the financial strategy behind a film like Insidious, The Last Key, is a fascinating story in its own right. From an investor's perspective, this movie is a perfect case study in a high-efficiency, low-risk production model that has come to dominate the horror genre. Let's look at the numbers. The production budget for Insidious. The Last Key was an estimated $10 million. While that might sound like a lot, in Hollywood terms, it's remarkably lean. To put that in perspective, a major supernatural horror competitor like 2017's IT was made for around $35 million. This low budget is the cornerstone of the Blumhouse financing structure, a model that minimizes financial risk while maximizing the potential for an explosive ROI, return on investment. By keeping production costs down, the studio significantly lowers the bar for profitability. With a budget of just $10 million, the global gross forecast for the film didn't need to be astronomical for it to be considered a massive success. Based on the performance of the previous films in the franchise, industry analysts likely projected a worldwide box office return in the range of $100 to $120 million. The film ultimately shattered that forecast, pulling in nearly $168 million globally. These incredible profitability metrics are what make the Blumhouse model so attractive to parent studios like Universal. The risk is contained, but the reward is potentially enormous. Every dollar that exceeds the break-even point, which includes the production budget plus marketing costs, directly enhances the overall equity stake valuation of the entire Insidious IP. This means that with each successful low-cost installment, the franchise as a whole becomes a more valuable asset on the studio's balance sheet. The monetization strategy for a film like this is multi-tiered. Theatrical revenue is the primary driver, but the revenue streams continue long after it leaves cinemas. A strong box office performance directly increases the value of the film's streaming and television licensing deals. The impressive theatrical run of Insidious, The Last Key, meant that streaming services were willing to pay a premium to add it to their library. This is a critical part of the long-term global gross forecast, which extends for years beyond the initial release. From an investment standpoint, the initial equity stake valuation of the project was based on a proven formula: a beloved horror franchise, a fan-favorite lead character, a modest budget, and a clever release date. The final result was a textbook example of high-efficiency filmmaking, delivering shareholder value that far exceeded its initial investment and further cemented the Insidious franchise as a financial juggernaut. Any great horror story is only as strong as the characters we follow into the darkness, and in this movie breakdown of Insidious, The Last Key, it's the incredible cast that makes us believe in the ghosts and demons they're facing. The success of the Insidious franchise has always been its human element, and this film wisely places its most beloved character front and center. Of course, we're talking about the one and only Lin Shaye as Dr. Elise Rainier. For any movie lovers familiar with the series, Elise is the heart and soul, the compassionate warrior who guides lost souls back to the light. In Insidious, The Last Key, her character, explained, is more complex than ever before. We see her not just as the powerful psychic, but as a traumatized survivor forced to confront the literal demons of her past. Shaye's fan-favorite performance here is a masterclass in emotional depth, balancing fear, regret, and fierce determination. A look into Lin Shaye's actor filmography reveals one of the most interesting career arcs in Hollywood. For decades, she was a celebrated character actress, often stealing scenes in comedies like There's Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber. A fascinating piece of behind-the-scenes trivia is that the role of Elise was originally written for a man. It was Lin Shaye's incredible audition and powerful screen presence that convinced creators Leigh Whannell and James Wan to reshape the character, a decision that would ultimately define the entire franchise. This film is the culmination of that journey, turning a supporting character from the first film into the undisputed lead of a multi-million-dollar franchise. It's a rare and incredible feat that has cemented her place as a modern horror icon and makes Insidious The Last Key one of the most rewatchable movies for fans of her work. Of course, Elise wouldn't get far without her loyal, if slightly goofy, assistants Specs and Tucker. For any full movie breakdown, it's crucial to understand their role. Played by Leigh Whannell and Angus Sampson, this duo provides the film with much-needed moments of levity. Their character explained is that of the quintessential sidekicks. Their bickering and comedic timing act as a pressure release valve, making the terrifying moments feel even more intense by contrast. The chemistry they have on screen feels incredibly authentic, and there's a great behind-the-scenes reason for that. Specs is played by Leigh Whannell, who is not only a talented actor, but also the writer of Insidious The Last Key and the co-creator of the entire Saw and Insidious universes. His partnership with Angus Sampson is built on years of real-life friendship and creative collaboration, which shines through in every scene they share. The supporting cast of Insidious The Last Key is crucial in fleshing out Elise's traumatic past. Bruce Davison plays Christian, Elise's estranged younger brother. His character explained is one of repressed memory and resentment. He represents the part of the family that tried to forget the horrors they endured, creating a powerful emotional conflict for Elise. Playing his daughters, Melissa and Imogen, are Caitlin Gerard and Spencer Locke. They act as the catalyst for the story, the new generation haunted by an old family curse, forcing Elise to intervene. And finally, you can't have a great hero without a great villain. The primary antagonist of the film is the terrifying entity known as Keyface. A deep dive behind the scenes reveals that this demon was brought to life by the legendary creature actor Javier Bardem. If you look at the best movies of cast for any modern horror film, you'll likely find his name. Known for his unique height and slender frame, Bardem has played some of the most iconic monsters in recent memory, including the Crooked Man in The Conjuring 2 and the titular creature in Mama. His physical performance is what makes Keyface so viscerally unsettling, a practical effect that grounds the horror in a terrifying reality. This perfect blend of a powerful lead performance, a charming supporting cast, and a physically terrifying villain is what makes the character dynamics in Insidious The Last Key so effective, and a central focus of our movie breakdown. From a financial standpoint, the casting strategy for Insidious The Last Key is a textbook example of the Blumhouse model's efficiency, a strategy built almost entirely around the concept of back-end participation. When analyzing the film's $10 million production budget, the first thing investors look at is cost allocation, specifically the actor salaries. Unlike a major blockbuster, where a single star might command a $20 million upfront fee, the compensation packages for a film like this are structured completely differently. The estimated upfront salaries for the entire cast, including its lead, were likely a fraction of industry norms. For even a beloved veteran like Lin Shaye, her upfront fee was probably well under $1 million, with supporting actors likely working for SAG-AFTRA scale minimums. This keeps the initial casting risk incredibly low. So how does a studio secure talented actors for these rates? The answer is the powerful incentive of back-end participation. This financial structure means that actors agree to a significantly smaller upfront salary in exchange for a percentage of the film's profits after it breaks even. This is the cornerstone of Blumhouse's profitability analysis. For Insidious The Last Key, this means that a significant portion of the cast's total compensation was directly tied to the movie's box office success. This model creates a powerful alignment of interests. The actors are now stakeholders in the film's success, motivating them to participate heavily in marketing and promotion. This structure allows for a lean budget allocation, with estimates suggesting that total upfront cast salaries likely accounted for less than 15% of the $10 million budget, a remarkably low figure that minimizes the studio's initial cash outlay. This brings us to the star power ROI of the cast. While Lin Shaye may not have the same box office drawing power as an A-list action star, her value within the horror genre is immense and quantifiable. Her presence signals a mark of quality to the franchise's loyal fanbase, virtually guaranteeing a strong opening weekend from a dedicated audience. Because her upfront salary is manageable, her star power ROI is exceptionally high. The studio is not paying for a global superstar. They are paying for a genre icon who activates a specific, high-spending demographic. The financial genius of this model is that the studio only pays out large sums if the film is a hit. The massive success of Insidious, The Last Key, which grossed nearly $168 million, meant that the back-end participation deals likely resulted in very lucrative paydays for the key cast members, far exceeding what their initial salary would have been. This strategy is a win-win. The studio mitigates its risk, and the talent shares directly in the monumental success they helped create, all driven by the powerful financial tool of back-end participation. At the very core of any great horror film is a story that grabs you and refuses to let go, a narrative so compelling that you have to see it through to the terrifying end. For Insidious, The Last Key, the story is everything. This isn't just a collection of jump scares, it's a deeply personal and tragic tale of trauma, family, and the fight to reclaim one's past. Today, we're going to provide the most detailed Insidious. The Last Key plot summary you'll find anywhere, a complete chronological journey that will serve as the foundation for our full movie explained. This is more than just a recap. This is a deep dive movie breakdown, exploring the motivations, the twists, and the chilling secrets hidden within the screenplay. So turn on the lights and let's begin our descent into the story of Elise Rainier's final and first haunting. Our Insidious, The Last Key story breakdown begins not in the present, but in the bleak landscape of 1953 in Five Keys, New Mexico. We are introduced to a young Elise Rainier, living in a desolate house located ominously next to a state penitentiary. Her childhood is one of fear and abuse, largely at the hands of her father, a prison guard who brutally punishes her for her claims of seeing ghosts. Her mother is gentle but powerless, and her younger brother, Christian, is her only source of comfort. The movie themes of inherited trauma and the cyclical nature of violence are established immediately and with brutal efficiency. The inciting incident of this entire saga happens one night when Elise's father locks her in the basement as punishment. There, a mysterious voice coaxes her to open a red door, and in her fear, a young Elise uses her psychic abilities to turn a key and unlock it. In doing so, she unwittingly unleashes the film's primary antagonist, the terrifying demon known as Keyface, into our world. The demon immediately possesses Elise, causing her to speak in its voice, which leads her horrified father to beat her unconscious. In the chaos, the demon murders Elise's mother, a tragedy that will haunt her for the rest of her life. Overwhelmed with guilt and terror, Elise abandons her home and her brother, setting the stage for the pain and regret that will define her character. The narrative then jumps to 2010, bridging the gap between the events of Chapter 3 and the first Insidious film. Elise is now working as a parapsychologist with her quirky but loyal assistants, Specs and Tucker. This is the Elise we know and love, but she is still clearly haunted by her past. The main plot is set in motion by a phone call. The man on the line is Ted Garza, the current resident of her childhood home, who is experiencing a terrifying haunting. The mere mention of the address sends a shockwave of fear through Elise, and she initially refuses the case, unwilling to revisit the source of her deepest trauma. However, a powerful vision of a young woman being tormented in the house convinces her that she has a responsibility to help. This part of the Insidious, The Last Key plot summary, establishes the classic reluctant hero archetype. Elise is not returning home for herself. She is doing it for a stranger, a selfless act that defines her character. Upon arriving in Five Keys, the trio begins their investigation. The house is even more grim and oppressive than Elise remembers. Almost immediately, they are confronted by supernatural activity. During an initial sweep, Elise's old childhood whistle is found, and when blown, it leads them to a secret back wall in the basement. Behind it, they discover a hidden room containing a young woman held in chains, along with a mysterious suitcase. Before they can react, Ted Garza appears and locks them in. This is a brilliant moment in the screenplay analysis of the film. It plays with our expectations, making us believe Garza is the villain. However, as this full movie explained will show, the truth is far more complex. They manage to escape and call the police, who discover that the captive woman is not a ghost, but a real person Garza had kidnapped. The police also find the remains of another body in the suitcase. At this point, the story pivots from a supernatural haunting to a grim crime thriller, a clever genre blend that keeps the audience off balance. The investigation forces Elise to reconnect with her estranged brother, Christian, and his two daughters, Melissa and Imogen, who have come to town to handle the aftermath of the discovery on their family property. The reunion is fraught with tension. Christian still harbors deep resentment towards Elise for abandoning him all those years ago. This family drama is a central pillar of the film's narrative breakdown, grounding the supernatural horror in real, relatable emotional conflict. Meanwhile, Imogen, much like her aunt, is revealed to have latent psychic abilities, a connection that becomes critically important later on. This detailed movie breakdown shows how every character and subplot is meticulously woven together, all leading back to the central mystery of the house and the demon that haunts it. As Elise delves deeper into the history of the spirits, she realizes that the hauntings are connected to a series of murders, forcing her to confront the horrifying possibility that the evil in her home was not just supernatural, but human as well. This sets the stage for a journey into the further that will be her most personal and dangerous yet, leaving audiences with a dozen questions that only the film's terrifying climax can answer. From an investment perspective, the screenplay for Insidious, the last key is the foundational asset upon which the entire $10 million production budget was risked. Therefore, a thorough analysis of the script's inherent risk-return ratio is essential to understanding the film's financial strategy. The first line item in this analysis is the script development cost. Given that the screenplay was penned by Leigh Whannell, the co-creator of the franchise, the initial script acquisition cost is more accurately described as a development and writing fee. For a writer of his stature and integral importance to the IP, this fee, including multiple drafts and revisions, could be estimated to be in the range of $750,000 to $1.5 million. While a significant upfront expense, this represents an investment in a known quantity, a writer who has a proven track record of delivering financially successful stories within this specific universe. This strategic decision immediately lowers the creative risk compared to acquiring an unproven spec script from an outside writer. The primary creative risk of the screenplay lay in its structure as a prequel centered on Elise Rainier. Prequels carry a unique financial risk because the audience already knows the ultimate fate of the central character in this case. They know Elise dies in the first Insidious film. This can potentially lower the narrative stakes and dampen audience investment. From a studio perspective, this creative choice had a direct impact on the project's risk-return ratio. A story with perceived lower stakes could have translated into a lower box office ceiling. Furthermore, shifting the focus entirely away from the Lambert family, the protagonists of the first two films, was another gamble. The studio was betting that the character of Elise, brilliantly portrayed by Lin Shaye, had enough standalone appeal to carry a feature film without the original family as an anchor. However, a deeper financial modeling of the situation reveals that these creative choices were a calculated and intelligent strategy to optimize the risk-return ratio. While the prequel structure presented a narrative challenge, it also served as a powerful risk mitigation tool. By centering the story on a beloved, fan-favorite character, the studio capitalized on an existing, highly engaged audience segment. This dramatically reduced the marketing burden, as the film was not selling a new concept, but rather delivering an origin story that fans were actively demanding. This approach demonstrates exceptional budget efficiency, leveraging the brand equity built by previous installments to ensure a strong opening weekend. The decision transformed a potential creative liability into a core marketing strength, ultimately creating a very favorable risk-return ratio. Ultimately, the story development ROI for this screenplay was exceptionally high. The script delivered precisely what the franchise needed at that point in its life cycle, a fresh narrative that didn't rely on continuing the Lambert story, a deeper dive into the lore of the further, and a powerful emotional arc for its most valuable character asset. The introduction of darker, more grounded movie themes like child abuse and serial killers, while a creative risk, also served to differentiate the film from its predecessors and prevent franchise fatigue. For investors, the screenplay for Insidious, the last key was not just a story, it was a strategically engineered product designed to maximize audience engagement while minimizing financial exposure. The creative choices were not made in a vacuum. They were savvy business decisions that resulted in a phenomenal return on the initial script investment, proving that the story itself can be the most valuable and efficiently deployed asset in a film's entire financial portfolio. All right, we've arrived at the part of the breakdown that everybody searches for, the section that ties everything together. We're about to venture deep into the further to provide the definitive Insidious, the last key ending explained. This is where we'll unravel the final act, explore the shocking twist ending, and break down what it all means for Elise and the entire Insidious timeline. So a massive spoiler warning is now in full effect, if you haven't seen Insidious. The last key, stop right now and go watch it, because we are about to spoil everything. For everyone else, let's unlock the final secrets of this terrifying story. The climax of the film is a multi-layered confrontation that takes place in both the real world and the spiritual plane of the further, and understanding how these two battles connect is the key to our entire analysis. The Insidious. The last key ending explained kicks into high gear after Elise discovers the horrifying truth about her father. She realizes that for years, he was not just an abusive prison guard, but also a serial killer, kidnapping women and holding them captive in the secret basement room. The malevolent spirit haunting the house wasn't just a random demon, it was the spirit of one of his victims, a woman named Anna, who was trying to get help. However, the true monster, Keyface, was feeding on all of this fear and hatred. During a terrifying encounter, Elise is dragged into the further by Keyface. This is where the true battle begins. In this dark realm, Keyface traps Elise in a state of helplessness, suppressing her memories and making her relive the trauma of her childhood, feeding on her despair. The demon's goal is to silence her forever, preventing her from helping any more spirits find peace. Back in the real world, Elise's niece, Imogen, who shares her psychic abilities, realizes she is the only one who can save her aunt. Guided by Specs and Tucker, she bravely enters the further to find Elise. This is a crucial part of our Insidious, the last key ending explained, the passing of the torch. Imogen represents the next generation, a new beacon of hope in the fight against the darkness. Inside the further, she finds Elise imprisoned. In a moment of pure emotional catharsis, Elise's long-dead mother appears as a benevolent spirit and gives her the key to her freedom, the whistle her father had forced her to give up as a child. This act breaks Keyface's hold, and the two psychics, Anne and niece, make their escape. But Keyface isn't done yet. In a final, desperate act, it possesses the body of Elise's brother, Christian, in the real world and attacks Melissa. This leads to the film's brilliant twist ending. Just as the possessed Christian is about to kill his own daughter, Elise blows the whistle, and the sound travels from the further into the real world. The spirit of Elise's mother appears before Christian, calling his name. The sight of his loving mother is enough to break the demon's hold, saving both him and Melissa. With its vessel gone, Keyface is seemingly defeated. This moment is the emotional core of the entire Insidious, the last key ending explained. It's not just about defeating a demon, it's about healing a family. The love between a mother and her children transcends even the darkness of the further. The family is finally reunited and at peace, with Elise having finally confronted and conquered the demons of her past, both literal and figurative. But this is an Insidious movie, and the story is never that simple. This brings us to the fascinating world of Insidious, the last key fan theories. One of the most popular theories revolves around the true nature of Keyface. While the film presents him as a powerful demon, some fans believe he is something more, a gatekeeper of the further, a neutral entity whose role is to lock away the most dangerous souls. This theory suggests that Elise didn't kill him, but simply banished him, meaning he could return in future sequels. Another popular fan theory suggests that Imogen's psychic abilities are even more powerful than Elise's, and that the franchise could continue with her as the new lead, a concept that opens the door for a massive universe expansion. Now let's talk about the film's final moments and the post-credit scene, which is not really a post-credit scene but the actual final scene of the movie. With her own demons laid to rest, Elise is back at work with Specs and Tucker. She has a dream in which she sees Dalton Lambert and the lipstick-faced demon. She then receives a phone call from Lorraine Lambert, pleading for help with her grandson. For fans of the franchise, this is a spine-chilling moment. The Insidious. The last key ending explained is that the entire film has been a prequel, leading directly into the events of the very first Insidious movie. The film ends with Elise walking into the Lambert house, ready to face the demon that will ultimately take her life. It's a poignant, tragic, and perfect conclusion to her personal story, bringing the timeline full circle. This brilliant structural choice reframes the entire franchise, making Elise's journey even more heroic. It confirms that her final act was one of pure self-sacrifice, solidifying her legacy and leaving fans with an even deeper appreciation for her character, while also teasing the endless rumored plotlines that could still exist between the films. From a financial analyst's perspective, the ending of Insidious, The Last Key is a masterfully executed piece of strategic planning that significantly enhances the long-term franchise IP worth. The conclusion of Elise's personal arc, combined with the way it perfectly connects to the first film, provides a very high sequel potential score. While it closes the door on Elise's past, it simultaneously throws open a dozen new doors for future content monetization. We would assign the story a high sequel potential score, not for a direct continuation, but for spin-offs and interquels. This carefully crafted ending could increase the total IP lifecycle value by an estimated $150 to $100 million over the next decade by creating a robust platform for a wider cinematic universe. The film's ending fundamentally increases the overall IP valuation of the Insidious property in several key ways. First, by solidifying Elise Rainier as the tragic hero of the entire saga, it elevates her character into an iconic, highly marketable asset. Her story of triumph and sacrifice adds a layer of emotional depth to the IP that is rare in the horror genre. This emotional equity is a quantifiable asset that can be leveraged in future projects. A potential franchise roadmap from a financial standpoint would now focus on this expanded lore. The most obvious avenue for content monetization would be a spin-off series centered on Elise's niece, Imogen. Casting a talented young actress in this role would represent a low-cost, high-reward investment, effectively rebooting the franchise with a new face while maintaining a direct connection to the original hero. Furthermore, the ending provides a blueprint for a series of interquel films. Now that the timeline has been established, there is a clear opportunity to tell stories about Elise, Specs, and Tucker's other cases that took place between the events of The Last Key and the first Insidious. This is a low-risk, high-reward strategy for maximizing the franchise IP worth. Each new film serves as an annuity, generating revenue while simultaneously acting as marketing for the entire back catalog. The creative framework is already in place, which dramatically lowers the development costs and improves the risk-return ratio of a sequel. This strategy transforms the franchise from a linear series into an anthology platform, a model proven to be highly profitable by the Conjuring universe. Ultimately, the ending of Insidious, The Last Key, is a brilliant piece of financial engineering that enhances the franchise equity valuation. By providing a satisfying conclusion to one story arc while simultaneously laying the groundwork for many others, it ensures a long and profitable future for the IP. The avenues for content monetization are now diversified, ranging from direct film sequels and spin-offs to television series, video games, and immersive experiences, all centered around the rich mythology of the Further. The ending wasn't just a narrative choice. It was a strategic investment in the long-term health and profitability of the entire franchise, ensuring that this IP will continue to generate significant returns for shareholders for many years to come beyond the terrifying story and the compelling characters. The true power of a horror film often lies in its ability to create a mood, to build an atmosphere of dread that seeps into your bones long before the first jump scare. In this movie breakdown of Insidious, The Last Key, the cinematography and visual effects are the unsung heroes, working in perfect harmony to craft the film's chilling and unforgettable aesthetic. Today, we're going behind the scenes to explore how director Adam Robitel and his team used a combination of old-school practical effects and clever camera work to bring the horrors of the Further to life. We'll give you a full CGI breakdown, or rather, a lack thereof, and provide an iconic scenes explained for some of the film's most visually stunning and terrifying moments. This is where the magic of filmmaking meets the art of the scare. The cinematography of Insidious, The Last Key, helmed by director of photography Toby Oliver, is a masterclass in visual storytelling. The film is divided into two distinct visual worlds. The real world, particularly Elise's childhood home in New Mexico, is shot with a stark, washed-out color palette. The lighting is often harsh and unforgiving, creating a sense of bleak realism that mirrors the emotional desolation of Elise's past. Oliver uses slow, deliberate camera movements, long takes that hold on a dark corner or an empty hallway, building a palpable sense of suspense. This patient approach is a signature of the Insidious franchise. It's not about quick cuts and frantic action, but about making the audience feel like they are trapped in the house with the characters, forcing them to scan every inch of the frame for the threat they know is coming. In stark contrast, the visual style of The Further is a descent into a surreal nightmare. This is where the visual effects team truly shines. A deep dive behind the scenes reveals that the look of The Further was achieved almost entirely through practical means. The world is shrouded in a thick, oppressive fog, a simple but incredibly effective technique achieved with smoke machines and specialized lighting. This creates a disorienting, claustrophobic environment where threats can emerge from anywhere. The color palette shifts to a deep, monochromatic blue, punctuated by a single, terrifying splash of red, the iconic red door. This limited use of color is a brilliant design choice, making the supernatural realm feel alien and hostile. Now for our iconic scenes explained, let's talk about the film's signature monster, Keyface. For our CGI breakdown of this creature, the answer is simple: there is virtually no CGI. Keyface was brought to life by actor Javier Batet in one of the most incredible practical makeup and costume designs in modern horror. The creature's unnaturally long, slender limbs and the disturbing keys for fingers were all practical extensions and prosthetics. This commitment to practical effects is what makes the monster so terrifyingly real. When Keyface is on screen, he has a physical weight and presence that a digital creation could never replicate. The scene where he first emerges from the shadows in the basement is one of the most memorable scenes in the entire franchise, a perfect fusion of creature design, lighting, and sound that creates a moment of pure, undiluted terror. Another one of the most effective visual effects techniques used throughout the film is the depiction of the ghosts. The spirits that haunt the house and populate the further often move with a jerky, unnatural quality. A fascinating behind-the-scenes tidbit is that this effect was often achieved using a classic in-camera trick, filming the actors walking and performing actions backward, and then reversing the footage in post-production. This simple, low-cost technique creates a profoundly unsettling visual that is far more effective than a transparent digital ghost. This resourceful, practical-first approach to the cinematography and visual effects is not just a stylistic choice. It's a core part of the franchise's identity. It proves that in the world of horror, creativity and clever filmmaking techniques are often far more powerful than an unlimited budget, and it's a key reason why the visuals of Insidious, The Last Key are so enduringly effective. From a financial perspective, the visual production of Insidious, The Last Key is a masterclass in capital allocation efficiency. In an era where blockbuster films often have visual effects budgets that dwarf the entire cost of this movie, the Blumhouse model demonstrates a powerful and highly profitable alternative. The central theme of this analysis is the film's exceptional ROI versus visual complexity. The filmmakers made a strategic decision to prioritize atmospheric, practical effects over expensive, CGI-heavy sequences, a choice that had a profound impact on the film's bottom line. The estimated VFX budget for Insidious, The Last Key, was likely less than 5% of its $10 million total production cost, a minuscule fraction compared to a major studio tentpole where VFX can consume up to 50% of the budget. This lean approach to post-production spending is where the film's financial genius truly shines. Instead of allocating millions to digital artists and rendering farms, the budget was focused on tangible, on-set assets. Practical makeup, creative lighting, and brilliant production design. To provide some quantitative context, the CGI cost per minute for a large-scale Marvel film can easily exceed $1 million. For Insidious, The Last Key, the few scenes that might have required minor digital enhancements would have a negligible cost per minute, likely just a few $1,000s for wire removal or digital compositing. This demonstrates an almost perfect optimization of the ROI versus visual complexity equation. The film achieves maximum scare factor for a minimum financial outlay, a core tenet of its production efficiency. This strategy directly translates into staggering long-term profitability and massive cumulative earnings. By keeping the initial production costs incredibly low, the film reached its break-even point within the first few days of its theatrical release. Every ticket sold after that point contributed directly to its impressive profit margins. A film with a bloated VFX budget has a much steeper hill to climb before it becomes profitable, increasing the overall financial risk for the studio. Insidious, The Last Key, with its practical-first approach, was a low-risk, high-reward proposition from day one. The visuals are not just scary, they are fiscally responsible. The long-term payoff of this efficiency is seen in the film's cumulative earnings over its entire life cycle. The low initial cost meant that the revenue generated from streaming rights, international sales, and home video rentals was almost pure profit. The film didn't need to earn back a massive 9-figure budget. It was designed for profitability from the ground up. The visual strategy of Insidious, The Last Key, proves that a high ROI versus visual complexity is not about spending less, but about spending smarter. By investing in timeless, practical horror techniques instead of rapidly dating digital effects, the filmmakers created a movie that is not only visually effective, but also a financial powerhouse, a decision that has paid enormous dividends and will continue to contribute to the IP's impressive cumulative earnings for years to come in the world of horror. What you hear is often just as terrifying as what you see. A perfectly timed musical sting or a deeply unsettling ambient drone can be the difference between a cheap jump scare and a moment of pure, unforgettable terror. In this movie breakdown, we're tuning our ears to the chilling soundscape of Insidious. The Last Key, the soundtrack and iconic score of this film are not just background noise. They are a vital character in the story, a malevolent force that guides our emotions and amplifies every moment of dread. Today, we're going behind the scenes with the brilliant composer who crafted this nightmare in audio form, and we'll explore the key songs in movie that have become fan favorites. From the screeching strings of the main theme to the haunting trailer music, the OST for Insidious, The Last Key is a masterwork of modern horror scoring. The architect of this terrifying soundscape is none other than Joseph Bishara, the composer who has been the musical soul of the Insidious franchise since the very beginning. His name is synonymous with the sound of modern horror. A deep dive behind the scenes reveals that Bishara's creative involvement goes far beyond just writing the music. In a fascinating piece of movie trivia, he is also the actor who physically portrays the lipstick-faced demon in the first film, giving him a uniquely intimate understanding of the universe's specific brand of terror. This dual role as both monster and maestro is a key reason why the iconic score of the franchise feels so deeply integrated with the on-screen horror. For Insidious, The Last Key, Bishara's score is a brilliant evolution of the themes he established in the earlier films. The music is a chaotic, atonal symphony of screeching violins, deep, guttural cellos, and jarring piano strikes. It's not designed to be melodic or pleasant. It's designed to put you on edge, to create a sense of profound unease that lingers long after you've left the theater. A core component of this movie breakdown is understanding how Bishara uses music for storytelling. The iconic score of Insidious, The Last Key features distinct musical motifs for its key characters and concepts. Elise Rainier has a softer, more melancholic theme, often played on a lone piano, that represents her tragic past and her inherent goodness. In contrast, the theme for the demon Keyface is a cacophony of industrial noise and distorted strings, a sonic representation of pure, violent chaos. Bishara masterfully weaves these themes together, creating a musical battle between light and darkness that mirrors the film's central conflict. This technique of music-driven storytelling is what elevates the soundtrack from simple accompaniment to an essential narrative element. The official OST, available on streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, is a must-listen for any fan of cinematic music who wants to appreciate the full complexity of Bishara's work. Beyond the original score, there are a few key licensed songs in movie that play a significant role. While the Insidious franchise is most famous for its use of Tiny Tim's Tiptoe Through the Tulips, Insidious, The Last Key wisely avoids overusing it, saving its musical surprises for other moments. The selection of any pre-existing song in a film is a meticulous process, chosen to evoke a specific mood or time period. The inclusion of these tracks provides a brief, often ironic, respite from Bishara's oppressive score, grounding the film in a recognizable reality before plunging the audience back into the nightmare. The music used in the film's marketing, particularly the trailer music, was also a crucial part of its success. The trailers for Insidious, The Last Key often used a combination of Bishara's intense score and specially crafted sound design to create a 2-minute distillation of the film's terror, a strategy that proved incredibly effective in building audience anticipation. The full soundtrack list for the film is a testament to the power of a well-curated audio experience, where every sound, from the quietest whisper to the loudest orchestral blast, is designed for maximum impact. The soundtrack acclaim and its streaming success are proof that audiences were just as captivated by the film's sound as they were by its visuals. From a financial and investment standpoint, the music and soundtrack of Insidious, The Last Key represent a highly efficient and incredibly lucrative sub-asset within the film's overall portfolio. The strategy behind the film's music is a case study in maximizing artistic impact while minimizing financial outlay, a decision that has created multiple, long-tail revenue streams. The analysis begins with the music budget, which for a film of this scale was likely managed with extreme precision. The total budget for music, including the composer fee, recording sessions, and the music supervisor budget, was probably in the range of $250,000 to $400,000. Joseph Bishara, as the franchise's established composer, would command a respectable fee, but one that is still far more cost-effective than hiring an A-list composer like Hans Zimmer, whose fee alone can exceed $2 million. This controlled spending is the first step in creating a profitable musical asset. A critical part of this budget management is the approach to music rights acquisition, the screenplay for Insidious. The Last Key was smartly written to rely almost exclusively on an original score, rather than expensive, licensed pop songs. Licensing a single well-known song for a key scene in a film can cost anywhere from $50,000 to over $250,000, depending on its popularity. By avoiding these massive costs, the production team preserved capital and, more importantly, retained full ownership of the musical intellectual property. Owning the score outright is the key that unlocks the two most powerful monetization engines for a soundtrack: sync licensing and royalty income. This decision demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of long-term asset management, prioritizing the creation of a wholly owned musical portfolio over short-term, borrowed appeal. The first major revenue stream is sync licensing. This is the high-value, active monetization of the soundtrack. Sync licensing refers to the process of licensing specific tracks from the score for use in other media, such as movie trailers, commercials, video games, or television shows. The iconic, terrifying musical stings composed by Bashara are prime candidates for this. A studio producing another horror film, for example, might pay a significant fee, potentially between $25,000 and $100,000, to license one of these tracks for their trailer to instantly evoke a sense of professional, high-stakes horror. Every time a track is licensed, it generates direct, high-margin revenue for the studio. This is a powerful form of content monetization that transforms the score from a one-time production expense into an active, revenue-generating asset that can be exploited for years across countless platforms. The second, and perhaps more enduring, revenue stream is royalty income. This represents the long-term, passive value of the soundtrack, every time the official soundtrack for Insidious. The last key is streamed on Spotify or Apple Music, or purchased on a platform like iTunes. The studio earns a small payment. While these individual payments are minuscule, they accumulate over millions of plays, creating a continuous and reliable stream of royalty income. This is what investors refer to as long-tail revenue. Furthermore, every time the film is broadcast on television or played on an airplane, performance rights organizations collect and distribute royalties. This creates a financial annuity that will continue to pay out for decades, adding consistently to the film's cumulative earnings. The strategic use of the main theme across multiple films also creates a powerful franchise synergy, where the success of one movie boosts the streaming numbers and royalty income for the entire catalog. The initial, modest investment in the score has thus created an asset with a virtually unlimited lifespan, a perfect example of how smart creative decisions can lead to exceptional long-term financial returns. A truly successful film doesn't just end when the credits roll. It lives on in the hearts and minds of its audience, creating a vibrant culture of fan engagement that extends far beyond the cinema. In this movie breakdown, we're exploring how Insidious, the last key in the entire Insidious franchise, have cultivated a passionate and dedicated fanbase, a community that expresses its love for the series through everything from stunning fan art to intricate cosplay. We'll also take a look at the world of official merchandise and movie collectibles, the tangible pieces of the universe that fans can own. This is a behind-the-scenes look at how a horror movie transforms from a 2-hour experience into a lasting piece of pop culture, all driven by the power of its fans. The fan engagement surrounding Insidious, the last key, was fueled by a series of clever social media campaigns designed to build merchandise hype and immerse audiences in the world of the further. Universal Pictures and Blumhouse launched a series of interactive online experiences, including viral videos and social media filters, that allowed fans to feel like they were part of the paranormal investigation. These campaigns were not just about advertising, they were about community building. They encouraged fans to share their own spooky stories, create fan art depicting the film's terrifying demons, and participate in online discussions and theory crafting. This strategy is what turns passive viewers into active participants, a key element in building a long-lasting and loyal fanbase. At fan conventions like San Diego Comic-Con, the franchise has a significant presence, often featuring immersive walkthrough attractions that allow fans to step directly into iconic scenes from the movies, a brilliant form of experiential marketing. This passionate fan engagement naturally creates a high demand for official merchandise. While a dark, R-rated horror franchise might not have the same breadth of merchandise as a superhero movie, the movie collectibles that are released are often highly sought after by dedicated fans. The most desirable items are typically those related to the film's iconic monsters. High-quality action figures and detailed statues of demons like Keyface or the Lipstick-Face Demon are the crown jewels of any Insidious collection. Companies like NECA and Funko have produced a range of collectibles, from hyper-realistic figures to stylized pop, vinyls that cater to every type of collector. In addition to figures, themed apparel like t-shirts and hoodies featuring the film's logo or iconic imagery, and high-quality prints of the official movie posters are perennial bestsellers, allowing fans to showcase their love for the franchise. The world of cosplay is another incredible display of fan engagement and dedication. At any major horror convention, you are guaranteed to see fans dressed as Elise Rainier, complete with her gas mask and lantern, or even daring cosplayers who have recreated the terrifying visages of the franchise's demons. This level of dedication is a testament to the pop culture impact of the film's character and creature designs. It's a visual, fan-driven form of marketing that money can't buy. The strategy for official merchandise in a franchise like Insidious is often focused on scarcity and quality over quantity. Limited edition, exclusive drops of new movie collectibles or special Blu-ray releases create a sense of urgency and exclusivity, driving up demand and reinforcing the idea that these items are for the true, dedicated fans. This entire ecosystem, from the initial social media campaigns to the creation of high-end collectibles, is a symbiotic relationship. The studio provides the world, and the fans bring it to life, ensuring that the legacy of Insidious, The Last Key, will endure for years to come. From a purely financial perspective, merchandise and fan engagement represent a crucial and highly profitable pillar of a franchise's overall monetization strategy. This is where a film's cultural impact is converted into direct, high-margin revenue streams. The business model is primarily built on licensing and royalties. Instead of manufacturing the products themselves, the studio, as the owner of the intellectual property, licenses the rights to create and sell merchandise to third-party companies. For every action figure, t-shirt, or Halloween costume sold, the studio collects a licensed product royalty, a percentage of the sales price, without having to invest in the costly infrastructure of production and distribution. This creates a low-risk, high-reward revenue stream that is a key component of the franchise's revenue diversification. The quantitative potential of this model is significant. A standard licensed product royalty rate in the entertainment industry typically ranges from 8% to 15% of the wholesale price of a product. Let's analyze the projected sales for a key merchandise category for Insidious. The Last Key, for a high-quality collectible figure of the villain, Keyface, produced by a company like NECA with a retail price of $35, the studio might earn a licensed product royalty of around $2 to $3 per unit sold. While this may seem small, when multiplied across a production run of 50,000 units, it translates to $100,000 to $150,000 in nearly pure profit from a single product. When you expand this across an entire line of merchandise, including apparel, accessories, and other collectibles, the merchandising revenue can easily add millions to the film's cumulative earnings over its lifetime. The success of this strategy hinges on securing strong retail partnerships. A deal with a major retailer like Hot Topic, which specializes in pop culture apparel, or a seasonal partnership with a giant like Spirit Halloween, is a massive force multiplier. These retailers provide a huge distribution network and a built-in audience of target consumers. For a film like Insidious, The Last Key, a licensing agreement with Spirit Halloween to produce an official Keyface costume is a multi-million-dollar opportunity. The studio collects its licensed product royalty on every single one of the tens of thousands of costumes sold, a significant boost to its bottom line. This is where the power of fan-driven ROI becomes a quantifiable financial metric. Ultimately, the entire merchandise ecosystem is fueled by fan-driven ROI. The organic buzz, the fan art, the cosplay, and the social media discussions are not just cultural footnotes. They are the engine of a powerful, cost-free marketing machine. This passionate engagement creates a direct and measurable demand for official products. A studio can spend millions on advertising, but the authentic endorsement of a passionate fan community is infinitely more valuable and effective. Every piece of fan-created content is an advertisement that drives a potential customer towards a purchase, upon which the studio earns its licensed product royalty. This symbiotic relationship is the holy grail of brand management. The studio provides the content that inspires the fans, and the fans, in turn, provide the engagement that drives a highly profitable, low-overhead revenue stream, proving that the most valuable asset a franchise can have is not its monsters or its heroes, but its dedicated and passionate community. The official movie trailer for Insidious, The Last Key, dropping with teaser release moments that sparked massive fan buzz, set the stage for a premiere event rivaling any competitor's press tour excitement. while the social media campaign built theatrical release hype across the globe. This is where the magic of movies meets the science of marketing. A film can be a masterpiece, but without a brilliant marketing and distribution strategy, it might never find its audience. For a horror film like Insidious, the last key, building a sense of event-level excitement, is absolutely crucial. Today, in this full movie explained, we're not just looking at the story on screen, we're breaking down the incredible campaign that made this film a must-see global phenomenon. From the very first teaser release to the final box office breakdown, this is the story of how a movie becomes a hit. The marketing campaign for Insidious, The Last Key, began months before its theatrical release, with a carefully orchestrated teaser release. The initial teaser was short, cryptic, and terrifying, designed to do one thing: get the core fanbase talking. It didn't reveal too much of the plot. Instead, it focused on the film's chilling new villain, Keyface, and the iconic presence of Lin Shaye as Elise Rainier. The fan reactions were immediate and explosive, with trailer reaction videos and breakdown analyses flooding YouTube within hours. This initial buzz was then amplified by the launch of the full movie trailer. This longer trailer gave audiences a clearer look at the story, highlighting the personal, emotional stakes of Elise's journey back to her childhood home. The trailer was a masterclass in horror marketing, balancing atmospheric dread with perfectly timed jump scares. It quickly amassed tens of millions of views, creating a powerful wave of organic trailer hype that signaled to the industry that Insidious, The Last Key, was poised to be a major box office contender. As the January 2018 theatrical release date approached, the campaign kicked into high gear. A barrage of TV spots began airing during primetime shows and major sporting events, targeting a broader audience beyond the dedicated horror community. The social media campaign was equally aggressive, with interactive filters, shareable GIFs of the scariest moments from the trailer, and a targeted ad campaign that reached millions of potential moviegoers. The studio also orchestrated a global press tour, with star Lin Shaye and director Robitel making appearances on talk shows and at fan events, sharing behind-the-scenes stories and building a personal connection with the audience. The campaign culminated in a star-studded premiere event, generating even more media coverage and reinforcing the film's status as a major cinematic event. This multi-pronged approach, from the initial teaser release to the final week of promotion, was designed to make Insidious, The Last Key, feel like an unmissable part of the cultural conversation. The result of this incredible marketing effort was a spectacular opening weekend and an impressive final tally in our box office breakdown. The film's worldwide release was a resounding success, proving that even a fourth installment in a long-running franchise could feel fresh and exciting with the right marketing. The story of the film's journey doesn't end in theaters, however. Following its successful theatrical run, the film made its streaming debut on various platforms, where its popularity continued to soar. For any fan who missed it in theaters, or for those who just wanted to relive the terror, the film's availability on streaming services ensured its long-term cultural relevance. As we continue our full movie explained, it's clear that the brilliant marketing and distribution strategy was just as crucial to the success of Insidious, The Last Key, as the terrifying story it was selling. From an investor's perspective, the marketing and distribution of a film is where the primary financial risk is taken. A studio can produce a film for a lean $10 million, but the cost of bringing it to a global audience can be many times that amount. This is where we analyze the P&A budget, which stands for prints and advertising, the massive investment a studio makes to market and distribute a film. For Insidious, The Last Key, a film with a global release, the estimated P&A budget was likely in the range of $30 to $40 million. This figure covers all the media buying costs, from the expensive TV spots to the highly targeted digital ad campaigns. This investment is the studio's biggest gamble, and its success is measured by a single critical metric: the marketing spend ROI. To understand the marketing spend ROI, we first need to look at how a studio actually makes money from the box office. When a film grosses $168 million worldwide, the studio doesn't just get a check for that amount. They must first account for the theatrical revenue split, an agreement with the movie theaters that exhibit the film. On average, this split is roughly 50-50, meaning the studio receives about half of the box office gross. So, from the $168 million global haul of Insidious, The Last Key, the studio's share was approximately $84 million. On top of that, the distributor, in this case Universal Pictures, takes a distribution fee, typically around 8–15% of the studio's share, for their services in getting the film into theaters worldwide. Now we can calculate the marketing spend ROI. The studio invested a P&A budget of roughly $40 million and received a theatrical return of approximately $84 million. Key stat. With an estimated $40 million P&A budget and an $84 million studio share of the box office, the estimated theatrical ROI for Insidious, The Last Key, is over 1x. This is a phenomenal return, especially for a fourth installment in a franchise. A 1x return means that for every dollar the studio spent on marketing, they made back $2.10 from the theatrical run alone. This doesn't even account for the highly profitable downstream revenue from streaming licensing deals and home video, which is where the real long-term profits are made. The efficiency of this campaign was driven by a sophisticated and targeted ad spend. Instead of a broad shotgun approach, the marketing team likely focused their media buying costs on platforms and television channels that over-index with the film's target demographic. Young, horror-loving audiences. By optimizing the media buying CPM, cost per mil, or cost per thousand impressions, they ensured that their P&A budget was being used with maximum efficiency, reaching the most likely ticket buyers with the least amount of waste. This precise, data-driven approach to marketing is what transforms a standard film release into a highly profitable financial event. The incredible marketing spend ROI of Insidious. The Last Key is a testament to a perfectly executed campaign, one that not only filled theaters, but also set the stage for years of downstream profitability, delivering exceptional value to the studio and its shareholders. From meme references of its most iconic scene to viral fan clips that sparked massive social media reactions, Insidious, The Last Key's cultural impact rivals any competitor's pop culture influence, creating fan engagement that lives on through TikTok clips and Reddit theories. The true measure of a film's success isn't just its box office, it's the space it occupies in our collective imagination long after we've seen it. This is where a movie becomes more than just a movie, it becomes a part of our culture. Today we're exploring the incredible cultural impact of Insidious, The Last Key, and the entire Insidious franchise. We'll dive into the viral moments that took over the internet, unpack some of the most fascinating fan theories, and reveal some incredible behind-the-scenes trivia and Easter eggs explained that you might have missed. The cultural impact of the Insidious franchise is built on a foundation of truly iconic and terrifying imagery. The lipstick-faced demon from the first film and Keyface from Insidious, The Last Key, are not just movie monsters. They are modern horror icons. Their terrifying designs have become instantly recognizable, leading to a wave of fan-driven content. This is most evident in the world of online memes and viral moments. The jump scares from the films are so effective that Insidious reaction videos became a genre unto themselves on YouTube, with millions of viewers watching compilation videos of people screaming in terror. These viral fan clips are a powerful, organic form of marketing that keeps the films in the public consciousness for years. Even a simple, creepy image, like the smiling family from The Further, can become a meme reference, spreading across the internet and introducing a new generation of fans to the franchise's unique brand of horror. The deep and complex lore of the series has also fueled a vibrant community of fan theories. The main hub for these discussions is often on platforms like Reddit, where dedicated fans dissect every frame of the films looking for clues. One of the most enduring fan theories for Insidious, The Last Key, revolves around the full extent of Imogen's powers, with many fans speculating that she is destined to become an even more powerful psychic than Elise. This kind of fan-driven speculation is a sign of a healthy and engaged community, one that is deeply invested in the world and its characters. It also creates a constant stream of new content, as fans create video essays and blog posts to support their theories, further enhancing the film's online footprint. Finally, let's get into some behind-the-scenes trivia and Easter eggs explained. A fantastic piece of trivia for Insidious, The Last Key, is the return of the lipstick-faced demon. While Keyface is the primary antagonist, the original demon makes a brief but memorable appearance in the film's final moments, a nod to the fans that serves to tie the entire timeline together. Another great Easter egg is the subtle nod to the Saw franchise, also created by Lee Wannell and James Wan. A drawing of Billy the Puppet, the iconic mascot from Saw, can be seen on a chalkboard in one of the earlier Insidious films, a fun wink to the fans who have followed the creators' careers. These little details are what make rewatching the films so rewarding. They are a testament to the care and thought that went into building this universe, and they are a key part of the cultural impact that has made Insidious, The Last Key, and its predecessors, such enduring classics of modern horror. From a digital marketing and investment perspective, a film's cultural impact is not just an abstract concept. It is a quantifiable financial asset that can be measured and monetized. The organic buzz and fan-created content surrounding Insidious, The Last Key, generated a massive viral marketing ROI, a return on investment that is far more efficient and authentic than traditional paid advertising. Every meme, every reaction video, and every Reddit theory is a piece of free marketing that keeps the intellectual property culturally relevant. Key stat: a single successful viral trend on a platform like TikTok can generate billions of unpaid impressions, which, if purchased through traditional advertising, would represent an earned media value of millions of dollars. This constant, fan-driven promotion directly fuels engagement-driven revenue, as the sustained buzz drives on-demand rentals, digital purchases, and viewership on streaming platforms long after the theatrical run has ended. This high level of engagement also creates a powerful, indirect financial benefit known as a CPM uplift from engagement. CPM, or cost per mil, is the price advertisers are willing to pay for 1,000 ad impressions. When a topic like Insidious, The Last Key fan theories, is trending, the ad inventory on YouTube videos and websites related to that topic becomes significantly more valuable. This creates a profitable ecosystem around the IP. YouTube creators are incentivized to make more content about the film because they can earn higher ad rates, and this flood of new content keeps the film in the public eye, further boosting its cultural relevance. This is a self-perpetuating cycle of monetization, where the studio benefits from a constant, monetized conversation that it doesn't have to pay for, a perfect example of a high viral marketing ROI. The true long-term financial payoff of cultural significance, however, is the IP licensing premium it bestows upon the property. When an IP becomes an icon, it can command significantly higher fees in the licensing market. A culturally resonant horror property like Insidious can likely command an estimated 15–25% IP licensing premium over a comparable but less iconic film. For example, when Universal Studios licenses the rights to create a haunted house attraction for its Halloween Horror Nights event, they are paying for more than just a movie title. They are paying for the instant brand recognition and the cultural memory associated with Keyface, The Further, and Elise Rainier. This allows the studio to negotiate more lucrative, high-margin licensing deals, a powerful form of trending monetization. Finally, this elevated cultural status significantly enhances the property's brand partnership value. While a dark horror film may not partner with a family-friendly brand, it becomes an extremely attractive and authentic partner for genre-specific companies. Brands like horror-themed subscription boxes, collectible manufacturers, and alternative apparel companies see immense value in aligning themselves with a beloved and culturally dominant horror franchise. A collaboration with Insidious, The Last Key, feels natural and resonates deeply with the target demographic, making it a highly effective marketing tool for the partner brand and a steady source of ancillary revenue for the studio. The immense viral marketing ROI and the sustained value from the CPM uplift from engagement prove that the most profitable thing a film can do is create a few genuinely iconic, shareable moments that transcend the screen and become a part of the cultural conversation. While you might not see it sweeping the Oscars nominations or taking home Golden Globe wins, the critical acclaim for Insidious, The Last Key within its own arena rivals any competitor's film festival highlights, earning a solid Rotten Tomatoes score and glowing audience ratings across all streaming platforms. In the world of cinema, there are many different kinds of success. While the major awards shows often overlook the horror genre, the respect of critics, the adoration of fans, and the recognition from genre-specific institutions create a powerful and equally important form of awards buzz. Today in this movie breakdown, we're diving deep into the reception of Insidious, The Last Key, exploring the critic reviews, the passionate audience scores, and its overall place in the landscape of top-rated movies in modern horror. The journey of recognition for a film like Insidious, The Last Key, isn't about chasing mainstream awards, it's about proving its quality to the people who matter most, the horror community. The critic reviews for the film were, as is often the case with horror sequels, somewhat divided, but they contained a consistent thread of praise for the film's most important element, its star, Lin Shaye. Many critics, even those who were not fully on board with the film's plot, singled out Shaye's performance as a powerful, emotional, and compelling anchor. They celebrated the decision to put her character, Elise Rainier, in the spotlight, acknowledging it as a smart and refreshing move for the franchise. This praise for its award-winning performances, particularly from Shaye, was a recurring theme in the positive critic reviews, highlighting the film's strong emotional core in a genre often criticized for lacking one. This brings us to the all-important Rotten Tomatoes score. For Insidious, The Last Key, the final tomatometer score landed at 33%. Now, for a mainstream drama, that would be a disastrous score. But in the world of horror, it's crucial to look beyond that single number. The horror genre is notoriously critic-proof, meaning that a lower score from professional reviewers often has very little impact on a film's box office success if the audience is excited. A key part of this movie breakdown is understanding the often vast difference between critic reviews and audience scores. This is where the true story of the film's reception lies, the audience scores for Insidious. The Last Key were significantly more positive, with the audience Rotten Tomatoes score sitting at a much healthier 52%. This indicates that the film delivered exactly what its target audience was looking for. Effective scares, a deeper dive into the franchise's lore, and a powerful leading lady. The real measure of the film's success with viewers can be seen in the passionate audience ratings on platforms like IMDb and CinemaScore. The film received a B CinemaScore from opening night audiences, which, for a horror film, is a very solid grade, indicating general satisfaction. The user reviews on IMDb tell a story of a fanbase that was deeply invested in Elise's journey. They praised the film's terrifying new villain, Keyface, the emotional weight of the story, and the clever way it tied into the first film. This groundswell of positive audience scores created a powerful word-of-mouth campaign that drowned out some of the more lukewarm critic reviews. Within the horror community, Insidious, The Last Key did generate significant awards buzz at genre-specific awards shows. The film received nominations at events like the Saturn Awards, which celebrate the best in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. These are the nominations that truly matter for cementing a film's legacy within its genre. A Saturn Award nomination is a seal of approval from a jury of peers and dedicated fans, a recognition that the film has achieved a high level of craft and effectiveness. While it may not have the mainstream prestige of the Oscars nominations, this kind of genre-specific acclaim is a powerful endorsement that speaks directly to the film's intended audience. Ultimately, the story of the film's reception is one of harmony between the two key metrics, a respectable showing with critics who praised its star, and a passionate embrace from audiences who loved its scares, a combination that has solidified its place as a must-watch film for any fan of the supernatural. From an investor's perspective, critical acclaim and awards recognition are not just about prestige. They are powerful financial catalysts that can significantly enhance a film's profitability. They act as a powerful ROI multiplier, amplifying the return on the studio's initial investment. While Insidious, The Last Key did not pursue a major Oscar campaign, a hypothetical analysis shows the potential value. The award campaign cost for a major, for your consideration, campaign aiming for a Best Picture or a major acting nomination can range from $5 million to over $15 million. This cost covers advertising, special screenings for Academy voters, and public relations. It's a significant additional investment that a studio must weigh against the potential financial return. For a micro-budget horror film, this cost is often prohibitive and unnecessary, as the film's profitability is already secured by its low budget. However, the financial benefits of acclaim, even on a smaller scale, are undeniable. This is where the concept of the critical acclaim multiplier comes into play. Positive reviews and a certified fresh, Rotten Tomatoes score act as a third-party endorsement, a trusted seal of quality that can persuade on-the-fence consumers to purchase a ticket or rent a movie. For a film like Insidious, The Last Key, the strong audience scores and positive word-of-mouth served as a powerful grassroots version of this multiplier. This positive buzz directly contributes to a post-award revenue boost, or in this case, a post-release revenue sustain. Instead of a sharp drop-off after opening weekend, the film had strong legs at the box office, a direct result of audiences recommending it to their friends. The most significant financial impact of acclaim is felt in the long term, particularly in the realm of streaming monetization. This is where the critical acclaim multiplier truly shines, allowing for what is known as prestige pricing. When a studio negotiates licensing deals with streaming services like Netflix or HBO Max, a film with a strong critical reputation and a proven, engaged fanbase can command a significantly higher licensing fee. Keystat, a film with a strong, certified fresh rating and positive audience scores, can command an estimated 10-20% higher fee in streaming licensing negotiations than a comparable film with poor reviews. This is because the streaming service is not just licensing a movie, they are licensing a mark of quality that enhances the perceived value of their entire library. Ultimately, both awards and strong reviews function as a powerful ROI multiplier. A major award win, for example, can be a game changer. Historically, a Best Picture Oscar win can provide a post-award revenue boost of an estimated $20 million to $50 million in additional domestic box office and home video sales. While Insidious, The Last Key operates in a different sphere, the principle is the same. The nominations it received at genre awards and the passionate fan response act as a targeted critical acclaim multiplier within its specific market. This multiplier increases the film's lifetime value, LTV, ensuring that it remains a valuable and easily monetizable asset in the studio's library for decades to come, proving that in the business of film, a good reputation is one of the most profitable assets you can own, as Insidious. The Last Key cements its film legacy, with franchise potential that rivals any competitor's universe expansion. Fans speculate on sequels and spin-off ideas, while the director's next projects and upcoming movies hint at a thrilling future. Every great story leaves you wanting more, and the world of Insidious is so rich with terrifying possibilities that the fan anticipation for what comes next is always at a fever pitch. In our final movie breakdown, we're looking to the future. We'll explore the incredible franchise potential that still exists within this universe, dive into some of the most popular rumored plotlines for potential sequels and spin-off ideas, and discuss the lasting cinematic impact of this modern horror classic. The film legacy of Insidious, The Last Key, is twofold. First, it provided a deeply satisfying and emotional conclusion to the personal story of its most beloved character, Elise Rainier. The film's final scene, as we discussed in our Ending Explained, masterfully brings the entire timeline full circle, leading directly into the events of the first film. This created a poignant and powerful sense of finality for Elise's arc, but in doing so, it also blew the doors wide open for a massive universe expansion. By establishing a detailed history and a clear set of supernatural rules, the film laid the groundwork for a much larger franchise roadmap. The world of the Further is a vast, unexplored territory, filled with countless tormented souls and malevolent entities, each with a story waiting to be told. This fertile ground has led to a constant stream of fan speculation and exciting spin-off ideas. One of the most frequently discussed rumored plotlines is a film or series centered on Elise's niece, Imogen, at the end of Insidious. The Last Key, it's clear that Imogen has inherited her aunt's psychic abilities. A new series of sequels following her as she steps into Elise's shoes, guided by Specs and Tucker, seems like a natural and exciting progression for the franchise. Another popular fan theory revolves around a potential horror comedy spin-off focused entirely on Specs and Tucker, exploring their misadventures as they tackle smaller, quirkier paranormal cases. This would be a fantastic way to explore a different tone within the established universe. The franchise potential also extends to the past, an anthology-style series, with each episode or film exploring a different case file from Elise's long career, is a concept with nearly limitless possibilities. This would allow the creators to introduce new demons, new families, and new types of hauntings, constantly keeping the franchise fresh and unpredictable. This is the true sign of a well-built cinematic universe. The story doesn't have to end with its original characters. As fans eagerly await news on upcoming movies in the Insidious saga, the cinematic impact of Insidious, The Last Key, is clear. It was more than just a successful sequel. It was a promise that even though Elise's story has been told, the nightmares in the Further are far from over. As we conclude our analysis, we shift our focus to the ultimate financial picture. The long-term cumulative value of the Insidious intellectual property. From an investor's standpoint, the franchise is not just a series of films. It is a high-performing, long-duration asset. Conservative projection for the long-term franchise ROI over a 15 to 20-year period is staggering. Given its consistent profitability and efficient production model, the Insidious franchise could achieve a total return of 15x to 25x its total consolidated production investment, placing it in an elite tier of horror properties, alongside giants like The Conjuring and Halloween. This is the power of a well-managed franchise, where each new entry acts as a powerful ROI multiplier. To fully grasp the scale of this asset, we must conduct a cumulative yield analysis to estimate the total IP lifecycle value. This valuation includes the box office and downstream revenue from all existing films, plus the projected income from future films, television series, merchandise, and other licensing opportunities. A conservative estimate would place the total IP lifecycle value for the Insidious franchise in the range of $750 million to $1.2 billion. This valuation is supported by the IP's proven global appeal, its iconic and marketable supernatural elements, and its ability to generate new, profitable content from a relatively low investment base. Each successful sequel or spin-off is an ROI multiplier that not only adds its own revenue, but also increases the value and relevance of the entire back catalog, a key component of its franchise lifecycle profitability. However, this future growth is not without risk. The primary sequel investment risk for the franchise is creative fatigue and brand dilution. A poorly received sequel or spin-off could damage the IP's prestige and diminish its long-term earning potential. Key stat: in long-running horror franchises, a poorly reviewed installment can lead to a 30–50% drop in box office revenue for the subsequent film, a significant financial risk. To mitigate this, the studio must maintain a high level of quality control and ensure that each new entry feels fresh and essential. The financial success of a franchise is a delicate balance between exploiting the IP and protecting its creative integrity. Ultimately, our final cumulative yield analysis concludes that the Insidious franchise is a top-tier financial asset for its parent studio. The strategic deployment of prequels and spin-offs, while carrying inherent risk, represents a calculated effort to apply a powerful ROI multiplier to an already phenomenally successful investment. The legacy of Insidious: the last key is that it served as the perfect bridge, honoring the past while building a sustainable and highly profitable roadmap for the future. The initial investment in a simple, terrifying idea has blossomed into a multi-platform, billion-dollar ecosystem, ensuring that this particular ghost story will be generating significant shareholder value for many, many years to come. If you survived this financial autopsy, slash that like button and subscribe to Profit in Frames for more dissections of the horror genre's most profitable monsters. What scary movie should we put on the operating table next? Let us know your victim in the comments below.